What's up, guys? Mike here, head trader at Tree Trading Group. April 1st, the first day of the second quarter, and it's a nasty one. We're down about 1,000 points today, a little less, um, on the overall markets. But today's big trade for me was Boeing short. I caught about $8 a share on Boeing on my final take profit, a little more than $8 a share. It was a nice Um, it was a really nice trade, and I needed it because I started the day in the red, so I had to climb myself out of a hole today because my first two trades in the morning were actually red trades, and this is why it's important to really be able to keep your losing trades small, um, because in this case, my Boeing trade was a big win. Had a strong P&L um, result from the Boeing short, but I lost money on SPY options in the morning. I got chopped around in a bunch of nonsense when the markets were extremely choppy, tight. There was no direction in the morning. Later in the day, we opened up and extended lower, but in the morning, the markets were very, very choppy. Um, so I lost some money in some options in the morning, and then also lost a little bit of money in Blue Apron. APRN. Um, you know, maybe I was chasing a little bit. I like the setup on APRN. I really did. I like the setup. It's a setup that I would trade if I saw it again tomorrow. I'll show you guys the setup on APRN because I think it's an example of where even the best quality setups will fail sometimes. There's no such thing as a setup that works 100% of the time, and it's a setup that I was comfortable with. I liked the setup, I really did, and if I saw that exact same setup tomorrow, I would trade it again, no questions asked. Nonetheless, it was a losing trade, so I had a little bit of a hole that I was in the morning after those first two losers, and then I hit on this Boeing trade. One thing I'm going to talk to you guys about is relative strength and relative weakness because that's what really helped me on this Boeing trade. Okay, relative weakness. I noticed relative weakness in Boeing today, and that's really what allowed me to catch this home run short. And that's what I'm going to talk to you. Really, the bulk of this video is going to be identifying relative weakness and how to use that to your advantage to catch a directional follow through move in an individual stock compared to the overall markets. Let's get to the spot. We'll start things off. We'll start things off here with the SPY. Okay. So we had the big gap down today, right? And the big gap down today. My thoughts were we have not had a big gap down in a little while now. And I've been calling for a pullback ever since the markets got back to the SPY got back to 260. I've been calling for a pullback. And then we finally got the gap down today. And I thought maybe that a lot of complacency was going on the last couple of days. Some people thought the bottom was in. I thought maybe the big gap down would scare some people out, and you'd see some selling pressure kick in and take us extend us lower into the low to mid 240s today. So right off the bell, we gap down, and you can see we try to push higher here, but we get denied multiple times here at the 23.6 Fibonacci level. And I'm saying, okay, we have a little bit of resistance there at the 23.6 Fib level. Then here came the trade line, this yellow line coming into my screen here. So I went ahead right in here. It's actually up in here. And I bought put options. Okay, I bought put options on the SPY. Let me open this up for you. Here you guys can see I bought the 250 strike. Today expiration puts at 309. Okay. Was looking just to take advantage of a pullback that I expected in the morning. Not something I'm expecting a couple days from now. It was a move I was expecting this morning. And I went after that trade. I bought those contracts at 309. And then we started to work itself out. We kind of got the trade line coming into play, denied us here with that sell off. And then we got to below VWAP. And then all of a sudden we had this big reversal candle kind of caught me off guard out of nowhere. And I said, you know what? I'm like, that's just a sign that we're going to chop this around for a while and this gap down maybe just gets digested. So I just quickly exited those put options right here. And I was going to keep that loss small. And you can see here, I exited that position at 234 and 230 um, on that put option position on the SPY. So I started the day right there red. Wasn't a huge loss, but nonetheless a red trade. Okay. But what I want you guys to notice at this point, once I went after that and I pulled the trigger on that trade, I also went over and I shorted Boeing. The reason why I got short Boeing was because I was looking for Boeing to fail at this support level. Okay. Kind of a sloppy head and shoulders pattern. We had a gap to fill if we get below this 141.50, 142 level. So when we pulled in, you see we were kind of having trouble here, and that's when I went ahead and I got short. Okay, Boeing, right around the same time that I got into those SPY options. Okay, so you guys can see right there is actually where I shorted Boeing. Back to my announcements, you guys can see here, just 4 minutes after I entered the SPY puts, I got short Boeing at 140.61. This is where the relative weakness comes into play. My game plan today on the SPY and the overall markets was, if we pushed higher off the bell, I wanted to get short at 252. Okay, in front of 252. Why? Take you guys back to a 15-minute chart. You can see here these prior lows. This little support level was the area that I was looking at that I wanted to get short in front of if the markets pushed up there. That's exactly what we did. I just didn't think it was going to take that long. So I thought maybe we were going to roll over here. And that's when I went into some put options. And then we just grinded higher all the way up towards that 252 area. Got denied at the 38.2 Fibonacci level. So there's your 38.2 Fibonacci level. We get rejected. And then there's your resistance, that 252 area that we just drew on, that I just showed you just a couple minutes ago. I did not pull the trigger on that trade, even though that was my pre-market game plan, which was very frustrating for me to see that I actually got the entry that I was talking about pre-market. It just, we got there in a way I wasn't expecting. Like this slow, like inching, crawling move higher was so choppy. It was just like there was no breakout, there was no extension, there was no pullback. It was just like chop, 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 chop. And we somehow slowly worked our way up to that level. And I just wasn't ready to pull the trigger on it. But what I started to recognize was relative weakness in Boeing. Notice how the overall markets are pushing higher. Okay. New high, new high, new high, new high. But when I take you guys over to Boeing, Boeing is doing lower high, lower high, lower high. Okay. So Boeing is actually starting to put in lower highs, drifting lower, while the SPY overall markets, I know the Dow, I mean, the Boeing is a major component of the Dow, but I have the SPY chart up. If we went to the diamonds, same exact chart. Okay. The Dow was doing the same thing, higher, high, higher, 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 high, just slowly churning its way higher, while Boeing was making lower highs. So at this point, I'm saying to myself, okay, I did not get my entry here on the SPY, which I really wish I did because it turned out to be a monster. Okay, it turned out to be an absolute monster. That was the play of the day, but I missed it. I didn't pull the trigger on it, which really frustrated the hell out of me. Could have been a monster trade, but I still used that to recognize the relative weakness in Boeing, and I said I've got a pretty good position here short Boeing, and if the market does roll from that 252 area, I should be in good shape. So right around 11:30, the market breaks, rolls down, and then here's Boeing at 11:30. Look what happens. Bang, we break and we make lows of the day. So as soon as the SPY rolled over, okay, at 11:30, Boeing sold off aggressively. Look at how much aggressively Boeing sold off compared to the SPY, or even compared to the diamonds, okay, the Dow, okay, because we're talking about Boeing, it's a major component of the Dow. You can see the relative weakness that Boeing had, and that's why I was confident holding on to this position with a final take profit of 128. Reason why I really wanted 128, guys, was because of this gap fill right here, okay. This gap fill, you guys can see, takes you right into this resistance, this previous resistance level. Now maybe a potential area of support, and it kind of fills that gap. It's like 127, 128. Okay, that was my final take profit. I held this thing all the way towards the end of the day. My final take profit was right there. And now we're just kind of trading sideways a little bit here after the bell. Take you guys to my announcements. You can see here I took some profit off at 138.15, the bulk of my position at 137.18, and then my final take profit. Oh, I don't know why there's a double here. My final take profit of the screenshot, guys, right there at 132.42. Okay. So 132.42 was that final take profit right there from that initial entry point. That's about an $8, a little more than an $8 per share gain on the final take profit. And this trade brought me back into the green. I was, like I said, red earlier in the morning, but this trade brought me back into the green. And it was all because of the faith I had in the Boeing short because of the relative weakness that I noticed compared to the Dow or the SPY, whichever one you want to compare it to. Nonetheless, relative weakness in Boeing, and that gave me the confidence to really hold on and catch the majority bulk of that trade. Then, guys, to round things off, I'll just go over the Blue Apron trade, APRN. This is a setup that I really liked. If I see this setup tomorrow, I would go after it again. First thing you notice is this resistance level here around 1350. You can see these 1, 2, 3 consecutive days of resistance at 1350, 1360. So then I take that, we go into an intraday setup here. We had broken through it, broke above it. Okay, I can move that line. Broke above it, broke through it. Then all of a sudden you see this. Then all of a sudden we see, okay, the 38.2 Fibonacci level lines up with the previous high, and we had just broken through that previous high on what was the heaviest volume of the entire day. Then we get a lower volume pullback right into that same support level, and right there is where I went ahead. I got long Blue Apron. Okay, right there is where I got long. I'll take you guys back to my announcements. Here you guys can see I'm long Blue Apron at $14 on the nose. We had one quick little bounce back up here, and then we just kind of rolled it back over, and I got flat right there at 1351. Back to my announcements, you can see at 1350. Like I said, I liked this setup. Okay, I had the 32 Fibonacci level. I had the previous high. I had the trade line sitting here. Okay, and I also had the heaviest volume of the day just came in on that break. I like this setup. Looked like we were kind of starting to form another like TGG triangle pattern that I thought we had a chance to really hold in here, continue. And this stock has a huge short position. I thought we had a chance to make another move. Okay, that's what I was looking for, but no dice. Okay, ended up breaking down. But again, guys, even the best looking setups will fail. There's no such thing as a fail-proof pattern or something that works 100% of the time. And I think this APRN was an example of that. If I see this exact same setup tomorrow, I'm going to place the exact same trade. This one just didn't work out for me. So between that and the SPY put option in the morning, I was right on the day. But Boeing, a couple thousand shares short, got $8 on my last take profit. This brought me back into the green on the day. Okay. So that's it, guys. We'll see what happens tomorrow. We have jobless claims numbers coming up. People are expecting a massive, massive number. You guys thought 3.28 million people the other week was a lot. People are expecting far, far, far worse. So we'll see how the markets react to a ballooning jobless claims number. It's just going to be a matter of how bad is it, because everyone knows it's going to be horrendous. So I'll see you guys in chat tomorrow. Take care.